Are the Conjuring movies really based on true stories? Many viewers are familiar with the highest-grossing horror franchise of all time. But did you know that the Conjuring movies actually draw inspiration from real events? Let's separate the fact from the fiction in the Conjuring movies. The main protagonists of the Conjuring movies are the married couple, Ed and Lorraine Warren. But are the Warrens real people? The Warrens first met while Ed was working as a theater usher and finally got married after his return from World War II. Ed had been a believer in the paranormal from a very young age and became a demonologist, whereas Lorraine was a clairvoyant and a trance medium. As amateur spiritual investigators, the couple founded the New England Society for Psychic Research in 1952 and have given many lectures on the supernatural. They claim to have investigated tens of thousands of cases and have even worked alongside the Catholic Church. While it would be easy to call them frauds, it's important to note that the Warrens never charged the families they helped. So, were the Warrens real people? Yes. The first film in the franchise features the haunting of the Perron family. The Warrens' investigations into the many malevolent spirits haunting the Perron residence was what launched the couple into notoriety. But perhaps the most unbelievable part is that the horrifying seance scene from the first Conjuring movie was actually based on a real incident where Lorraine performed a seance in order to make contact with the spirits haunting the house. Andrea Perron, the eldest of the children, even made the claim that her mother became possessed during the seance and began speaking in tongues and levitating in her chair. So, did the Perron family case actually happen? Yes. The opening scene of The Conjuring 2 gives viewers a glimpse of a case that many horror movie enjoyers will be very familiar with, and that is the Amityville house case. This was one of the couple's most high-profile cases and was adapted into a movie called The Amityville Horror in 1979, only 4 years after it happened. Ed and Lorraine went to investigate the Amityville house in 1975. Apparently, the supernatural occurrences within the house were so terrifying that George and Kathy Lutz, the couple who had just moved in, ended up leaving after only 28 days. This isn't surprising given what happened in that house only a year earlier. Indeed, in November of 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. shot and killed both his parents and 4 of his siblings in the house. Needless to say, this brutal murder shocked the entire nation as people couldn't believe that this young man could do something so horrible for no apparent reason. So, did the Amityville house haunting really happen? Yes. While the opening sequence of The Conjuring 2 hints at a much more popular case, the rest of the movie focuses on the case of the Enfield poltergeist. Indeed, in England in 1977, 11-year-old Janet Hodgson endured a 2-year-long haunting in her home in Enfield. This incident gained popularity when many news publications caught on, and the British public became enthralled in this shocking haunting that supposedly culminated in a full-on possession. In fact, a number of spooky scenes from the movie are actually taken straight from the true story. For example, the bone-chilling moment where a deep voice comes from the young girl claiming to be a man named Bill Wilkins. As it turned out, Bill Wilkins was actually a real person who died in that house. So, was the Enfield poltergeist from The Conjuring 2 a real case? Yes. Perhaps the most popular character to come out of the Conjuring franchise is the doll called Annabelle. While the real Annabelle is just a Raggedy Ann doll and is nowhere near as creepy looking as the movie version, her backstory is just as chilling. Indeed, according to the Warrens, the Annabelle doll was given as a birthday present to a nursing student named Donna. Apparently, strange occurrences started happening. For example, the doll would just pop up in different places, seemingly moving around on its own, and terrifying handwritten letters would appear in random places. But how did the doll get its name? Due to the bizarre incidents, the student eventually went to see a medium who told her that the doll actually contained the spirit of a lonely young girl named Annabelle Higgins. At first, the student and her roommate attempted to take care of the possessed doll and nurture it. But it was supposedly at this point that Annabelle started exhibiting malicious behavior. This was when the Warrens were contacted. According to the Warrens, Donna had been tricked by an evil spirit who was attempting to take possession of a human host. Ed and Lorraine ended up taking the doll into their possession after a Catholic priest exorcised the house. But the story doesn't end there, as on the drive back home, the angry doll allegedly tried to run the Warrens' car off the road multiple times. So, is the Annabelle doll real? Yes. The Conjuring 3 opens with a thrilling exorcism, the aftermath of which sees Ed Warren being rushed to the hospital. In the opening scene, the couple are documenting the exorcism of 8-year-old David Glatzel, alongside the boy's family, a priest, and the sister's boyfriend, Arna Cheyenne Johnson. In order to save the boy, Arna pulls the demon into his own body. Ed then has a heart attack while witnessing the demon enter Arna's body. It turns out that Ed did have a number of heart attacks in the 1980s, and even ended up in a wheelchair at one point. However, there is no evidence to suggest that he had a heart attack during the Glatzel exorcism. So, is Ed's heart attack in The Conjuring 3 based on a true story? No. The third movie centers around the shocking Arna Johnson case and the initial possession of the young David Glatzel. While the Warrens are investigating the possession, the viewers are treated to a flashback that details the boy's very first encounter with the spirit. Indeed, the scene shows David resting on a waterbed when suddenly he's attacked by a demonic arm that comes flying out of the bed. The Warrens later discover a cursed totem hidden underneath the floorboards. However, the true story the film is based on differs from this version. In reality, David was never attacked while resting on a waterbed. Indeed, the boy's first actual encounter with the spirit occurred when the Glatzels moved into a rental property, where the boy reported having a traumatic encounter that resulted in a strange burn mark appearing on his mattress and the floor underneath. So, does The Conjuring stick to the true story of David's first supernatural encounter? No. The end of each Conjuring movie features the Warrens placing a spooky artifact or item into their occult museum. First, it's the music box, then the Crooked Man zoetrope, and in the third movie, it's the altar cup. But does Warren's personal museum actually exist? With their rise in popularity over the decades, the Warrens became prominent supernatural lecturers and attracted the attention of anyone in search of a solution for their supernatural problems. This led to the couple becoming involved in many cases, and over the years, they accumulated a number of creepy knickknacks. So, the couple decided to build their own little museum in the basement of their Connecticut home. The collection supposedly features satanic altars, vampire coffins, and demon masks. However, the most prominent of all the items is undoubtedly Annabelle, who sits in a glass case backlit by a spooky red light. So, is the Warrens' occult museum real? Yes. In conclusion, as hard as it may be to believe, many of the events and stories from the Conjuring movies are actually based on true events. However, the films also exaggerate some aspects and add dramatic scenes to make the stories more shocking. That's all for this video examining the fact and fiction of The Conjuring. What was the most enjoyable part for you? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more fascinating content exploring the difference between movies and reality.